Plant diseases, pests, and control. Objectives of the lesson. At the end of the lesson, learners must have mastered the following concepts, skills, and knowledge. Plant diseases and their control. The types of microorganisms that cause diseases in plants. The different plant diseases caused by microorganisms, mode of transmission, symptoms and effects on plants, virus, bacteria, and fungal diseases. The prevention/control measures to control plant diseases. Plant pests and their control. The terminology, pesticides. The description of the main groups of plant pests and life cycle of certain plant pests. The types of damage caused by plant pests to crops. The prevention/control measures/methods of plant pests. Integrated Pest Management, GPB. The concept, Integrated Pest Management. The benefits of applying GPB by arable farmers. The fundamental principles/steps that are followed to apply GPB. Insect control on stored seeds and grass. The conditions that affect/increase insect damage on stored seeds/grains. The life cycle of selected pests/insects for stored agricultural products. The various methods used to control insects on stored seeds/grain. The general role of the state in plant protection. Introduction. Previous content covered in Term 4 should be linked to current content. Weed management and control. The purpose of the following lesson is to discuss and understand the following content: plant diseases and their control, plant pests and their control, integrated pest management, insect control in stored grains and seeds, the role of the state in plant protection. Concepts and skills. Plant diseases and their control, plant pests and their control, integrated pest management, insect control in stored grains and seeds, the role of the state in plant protection. New terms for this week. Single cell organism. Scabies, disease characterized by coarse spots on the stems, leaves and fruit. Inoculum/vaccination material on organisms that are implanted in another organism. Eliminate, erase, to remove, to get rid of. Smoke, to disinfect a place with the fumes of a disinfectant. Crop rotation over seasons. Geddy, to grow well, to flourish, to multiply. Metamorphosis, change in shape that occurs during the life cycle of insects. Bio-based methods, use of biological organisms, natural enemies or natural products. To fight pests. Plant diseases and their control. Types of microorganisms that cause diseases in plants. Plant diseases hinder the normal functioning of the plant. The microorganisms that cause plant diseases are called pathogens. Pathogens such as bacteria, viruses and fungi infect their host plants and disrupt their normal functions. Bacterial plant diseases. Bacteria are microscopic, unicellular organisms that occur in very large numbers all over the world. Bacteria propagate rapidly through the production of spores. These spores are able to remain dormant for very long periods under adverse conditions, but when conditions become favorable, they can germinate and spread rapidly. Favorable conditions for the growth and multiplication of bacteria include high humidity, high temperatures and an overpopulation of plants, which causes poor air circulation. Pathogenic bacteria causes serious and often fatal diseases in plants as well as in humans and animals. There are about 170 bacterial species that cause diseases in deciduous plants. Bacteria are named after the main host plant, or the one where the disease occurs. For example, citrus cancer, orange trees. Ways of transmitting bacterial diseases. The carriers of bacterial diseases are sucking insects such as leafhoppers and herbivores. Some pathogenic bacteria produce toxins or inject special proteins that cause the host cells to die, or produce enzymes that break down cells. Others live in the xylem vessels that transport water and cause the plant to wilt and die. Agrobacteria genetically modify and alter their host and cause cancerous overgrowths, called crown gall. It propagates by spores and can be easily spread by rain, wind, birds or insects. People can spread bacterial diseases when pruning infected trees, especially during the rainy season. The bacteria are transmitted through the pruning wounds by the pruning tools. Bacteria enter plant through wounds or natural openings, such as stomata on the leaves. Examples of bacterial diseases in plants: bacterial leaf blight, bacterial leaf spot, bacterial soft rot. Bacterial wilt disease, bacterial cancers, scabies. Crown gall, greening diseases, early and late blight. Curly leaf disease, cancers, fall disease. Downy mildew, powdery mildew, rust, mold, wilting diseases, fire. Viral diseases. Viruses are the most abundant and simplest microorganisms on Earth. It affects most species of plants, except cone-bearing plants, and can only reproduce inside the living cells of organisms. It uses the metabolism of their hosts and is therefore parasites and pathogens. Viruses' names are in many cases derived from the diseases they cause. For example, tobacco ring stain, watermelon mosaic, potato virus, potato scroll leaf and peach yellow disease. Way of transfer. Viruses are transmitted from plant to plant by animals called carriers. Insects that eat plant sap, for example aphids and mites, are the main carriers of viruses. All of them have mouthparts with which plants can be pricked and juice can be sucked. The hosts also include fungi, nematodes, and unicellular organisms. Viral diseases can be spread by rain, wind, insects, and animals. Infested plants, contaminated plant propagating material and contaminated seed can cause viral diseases to spread. Viruses cannot penetrate the cell wall of plant cells. It needs a wound to enter. Wounds in plants can, of course, be caused by branching of side roots. It can also be the result of agronomic or horticultural practices or other mechanical activities such as pruning or propagating plants by inoculation. Plant viruses can also be transmitted in pollen grains or by seed dispersal. Symptoms and impact of viral diseases. The same virus can cause different symptoms in different plants. The symptoms of diseases caused by viruses are mainly systemic. It occurs mainly on leaves, but shoots, flowers and roots can also be affected. The most common symptom of viral infection is sclerosis of leaves and other green parts. With sclerosis, the leaves are stained with light green or yellow spots, and they become deformed, curled up or twisted up. The spots can form a distinctive mosaic, and leaves are perforated. The ability to produce food is reduced. Other symptoms are varicose veins, where the veins get sclerosis and the rest of the leaf stays green, and vein streaks, the veins stay green and the leaf gets sclerosis. Leaves can also develop outgrowths, and shoots and roots develop swollen growths. The stem can become potted. Necrosis can occur on infected spots. Flowers and fruits are often deformed. Viruses are responsible for crop loss, lower production and lower quality products. If a virus infects the vascular system of stems, the absorption of water is inhibited. The most serious effect of viral infection is reduced growth and vitality of plants. The mosaic virus is one of the most common plant viruses. Mosaic virus. Fungal disease. Fungi is a large group of plants that include mold, fungi, and rust. They do not have true roots, stems and leaves and are called thallus plants. Fungi do not have chlorophyll. They cannot produce their own food. Some often kill their hosts. Other live off dead organic matter. They are called saprotrophic. Prevent or control plant diseases. Crop control. Remove all weeds, as they are often hosts for disease-causing microorganisms. Ensure optimal growth and soil conditions and cultivation practices. Avoid places with high humidity, overcrowding, and poor air circulation. Avoid mist-spraying on plants and do not water the leaves when watering plants. Disinfect pruning tools to prevent microorganisms that cause diseases from infecting the plant through wounds. Apply crop rotation with crops that are not susceptible to disease. Apply intermediate cultivation to prevent diseases from spreading from one plant to another. Use registered, certified, disease-free seed or other propagating material. Choose cultivars that are resistant to bacterial diseases. Treat seed with warm water as it can control seed-borne diseases. Smoke storage and greenhouses. Avoid watering plants late in the afternoon when it is hot or very hot. Heat and humidity are favorable conditions for the development of diseases. Plant healthy crops and choose cultivars that are resistant to fungal diseases. Biological control. The introduction of predators and pathogens can help control certain plant diseases. Biological control products, for example blight pen, can be used to control bacterial diseases. Biofumigation is used for cabbage, cauliflower, mustard and horseradish. These species produce certain enzymes that can be used in a crop rotation system or as green manure to control certain pathogens and diseases transmitted by soil. Chemical control. Soil can be fumigated with fumigants, toxic gases, before planting. Fungicidal sprays or powders can be used to prevent the spread of fungal diseases. However, it cannot cure the disease. Seeds can be treated with fungicides. Fruits and vegetables can be treated with fungicides before harvest time. Antibiotics help to kill or suppress pathogenic bacteria and to reduce the spread of the disease. However, plants will not be cured if they are already sick. Plant pests and their control. Pesticides and fungicides. Plant pests are caused by insects, spiders, snails, and nematodes. Plant pests are controlled by the application of pesticides and fungicides. Pesticides are chemicals used to control or kill the pest. Examples: mollusc killers, snails, insecticides, ant, tume, target, and methyl bromide to control nematodes. Fungicides are substances used to kill fungi, and fungal spores. The list of chemicals used to kill fungi is very large. Examples: natural fungicide includes powdered dry kelp and the bacterium Bacillus subtilis. Descriptions and life cycles of plant pests. Insects. Insects such as locusts and aphids are among the most common plant pests. Insects have 4 stages in their life cycle. Some insects, such as weevils, undergo a complete metamorphosis. Life cycle of metamorphosis, complete metamorphosis. Egg, unborn stage. Larva, young stage, they usually look like worms, this is the stage when they eat the most. Pupa, inactive stage, no feeding, between larva and adult stage. Adult, final stage of reproduction, they usually develop wings. About 10% of all insects go through an incomplete metamorphosis. Examples are locusts and aphids. They do not go through the pupal stage and have only 3 stages. Egg, unborn stage. Larva, young stage, this is when they eat the most and do the most damage to the crop. Adult, final stage of reproduction, have developed wings. Arachnida. Spider mites are common pest problems on plants in yards and gardens. Mites damage the plant when they eat. They bruise the plants with their small whip-like mouthparts and drink the cell sap. Mollusks. Snails and slugs are some of the most troublesome pests in gardens and landscapes. The brown garden snail, Helix aspera, is widespread and damages plants. Nematodes. Roundworms like the nematode. They are plant parasites that occur in the nodes of the root. Nematodes have sharp mouthparts that they use to penetrate and destroy the roots of plants. Types of damage caused by plant pests to crops. Plant pests can be divided into 3 groups: chewing pests, sucking pests, and stinging pests. Insects occur in all 3 groups. Chewing pests. Young seedlings are eaten off. Pests are already in the ground and just waiting for young new plants to emerge. Nematodes such as the nematode have sharp mouthparts with which they penetrate and destroy the roots. Sucking pests. The growth points of the plants are attacked. They prefer soft tissue. Examples: red spider mite and leaf miners. Pests. Summer crops are being targeted. The female lays her eggs inside the young fruit and causes malformed fruit. Prevent or control plant pests. Biological control. A predatory mite species against red mite. Birds, ladybugs, and moth-winged larvae against aphids. Insect-eating birds against codling moths. Ladybugs to control scales, aphids, mealybugs, and other soft tissue pests. Small wasp parasites against scales. There are several fungal species that can be used as biological control against thrips. The parasitic widow horsebee species can be released to control the spread of mites in citrus trees. Various nematode species are used as biological control agents for insects. They complete part of their life cycle as insects. They kill their host by releasing bacteria into them. Chemical control. A pesticide is a chemical used to prevent, destroy or repel pests and to kill organisms that can cause disease. Pesticides include insecticides, fungicides and fungicides, and herbicides. In South Africa, all pesticides are registered with the Department of Agriculture. The Department of Agriculture regulates its safe use and the methods of application to edible crops. For all these products, a withholding period must be indicated on designation. Pamphlets. Contact or systemic insecticides can be used. Systemic insecticides are absorbed into the plant tissue and pests are poisoned when they ingest the plant juices. Edible bait is ingested by the target pest. It works well for cockroaches and ants. Traps use tough chemical substances to lure male moths to prevent them from mating. The females will then lay unfertilized eggs that will not develop. Mite killers are used for mites. Eco-insect control is used for American bollworms, lawn caterpillars, potato leaf mines and thrips, among others. Safety precautions when using chemicals. Identify the plague or disease so that you can choose the correct product. Identify the correct time for application. Avoid direct contact with pesticides by wearing protective clothing. Mix sprays thoroughly and in places with good ventilation. Do not eat, drink or smoke whilst working with these products. Spray on quiet, dry days and never spray on rainy or windy days. Do not spray in bright sunlight, as the ultraviolet rays break down certain pesticides. Treat all products as potentially dangerous. Wash your skin and eyes with clean, running water if the chemical has landed on it. Integrated pest management. What is integrated pest management? Integrated pest management is used to control weeds, animal diseases and pests. It involves a combination of practices and is an efficient, economical and environmentally friendly approach. To control pests and minimize the damage they cause, crop and mechanical control must be used in conjunction with biological and chemical control. Genetic manipulation techniques can also be used to obtain resistance to pests and diseases, for example Bt cotton, which is resistant to bollworm. In integrated pest management there is knowledge about pests, their life cycles and their impact on the environment. Benefits of GPB. This reduces the cost of pest control, as fewer chemicals need to be purchased. The cost of labor and equipment to apply chemicals is lower. Natural enemies of pests are protected, which limits the spread of pests and diseases. It is more environmentally friendly. It protects the ecosystem and biodiversity. It prevents the contamination of water systems by various chemical agents. Improve conditions for crop production with consequent higher yields and higher quality products. Basic principles of GPB. The mere presence of a pest is not reason enough to try to control it. It should only be controlled when it becomes a threat to the environment, crops and/or human health. Farmers cannot rely on a single control measure or technique, as this will fail. Pests must be monitored and accurately identified so that pesticides are not used unnecessarily and beneficial organisms are harmed. The first step is to prevent pests from becoming a threat. This is done through the careful management and knowledge of the pests involved, their occurrence in the area, the host plants, the mode of transmission, symptoms and the possible damage it can cause. Weed control and sanitation practices are important. Cultural methods such as crop rotation, the planting of pest-resistant crops and the purchase of certified, disease-resistant seeds and other propagating material can be used to prevent pests. Tillage practices and irrigation systems must be carefully selected so that diseases do not develop. Host plants must be removed. Mechanical methods can be used to prevent the spread of existing pests. Crops must be monitored continuously to prevent the spread of pests. Pests must be suppressed using biological control methods. Chemical control can be used as long as it is aimed at the specific pest or disease. The same pesticide should not be used continuously on the same land, as pests may develop resistance to it. Insect control in stored seeds and grains. Conditions that promote insect damage to stored seeds and grains. Insects attack grain crops during harvesting and storage. Insects lay their eggs between the grain or directly inside the grain. The eggs hatch here and the larvae feed on the seed or the grain. Insects thrive under the following conditions. Optimal temperatures, between 25 C and 32 C. Optimal relative humidity is about 70%. Changing light conditions affect insect activity. The life cycles of pests and insects in stored agricultural products. Rice weevil. Live on different types of rice grains. Female lays up to 150 eggs at a time. Female lays a single egg in a pellet. Larva lives inside the grain and destroys it. Grain moths. Lay eggs in or close to the grain. Larvae burrow into the grains and feed on the inside. When the larva matures, it eats its way to the outer part of the grain where it turns into a pupa just below the seed coat. The adult comes through the seed coat by forcing through it. Insect control in stored grain. Prevention of infection. Harvesting, drying and storage of dry, clean grain. Disinfection of the storage system. Grain stores must have a moisture-proof floor and waterproof walls and roof. Grain in bags on pallets, left at least 50 centimeters away from the walls. Seal storage room for fumigation. Control contamination. Cooling of the stored grain using lighting. Treatment of grain with an insecticide in powder form. Treatment of contaminated grain with dichlorophos. Fumigation of the grain with phosphine or carbon dioxide. Creating a controlled atmosphere in a gas-tight silo. Effect of pesticides. The use of biopesticides such as pyrethrum. Diatomite powder can be mixed with grain before being stored in bags. Harvested dry. Stalks can be sprinkled with diatomaceous earth powder before storing. Nimba oil can be used to protect stored beans, black bean and other legumes from weevils. Fly traps such as funnel, delta or wing traps with pheromone as bait can be hung outside the store where maize is stored. Legumes can be protected against weevils using vegetable oils such as coconut oil, castor oil, cottonseed and mustard oil, and nimba and soybean oil, which have an effect on egg laying and egg and larval development. The potato moth can be effectively controlled by mixing BT powder with fine sand. Role of the state in plant protection. Law. The National Department of Agriculture, NDL, is responsible for agricultural legislation, agricultural policy, and the administration of agriculture in South Africa. The NDL has the task of controlling the following: import and export of agricultural crops, use of chemicals, herbicides, fungicides, insecticides, and pesticides, use of agricultural land, production and use of GMOs in agriculture, eradication of invasive plants on the farms, redistribution of agricultural land. Research. Agricultural research is governed by the Agricultural Research Council, ARC. Repositories. Food repositories. Nutrition stores are places where food is stored to keep it safe for later use and for times of need. The vision of a food bank in South Africa is a South Africa without famine and malnutrition. Seed repositories. Seed banks in South Africa have the task of preserving the seed of all living organisms, plant and animal, to ensure a permanent supply and prevent it from becoming extinct. Activities/assessment. Learners can also use the following sources of information to do activities. Relevant Grade 11 textbooks. Grade November 11th exam papers from previous years. Consolidation of the lesson deals with the content as set out in the KEPS document. Learners who understand the content must apply the necessary knowledge and skills to answer questions based on it. Learners are able to use the knowledge and skills as a good basis for progress to the next topic in grade 12. Plant protection.
Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more future educational videos.